Close your eyes and imagine this. On a quiet night, you look up, not to see just the twinkling stars or the solitary moon, but a massive glowing band wrapping around the sky like a ribbon of silver light, stretching from one horizon to the other. It's not the Milky Way or the aurora borealis. This is a planetary ring system, hovering just above Earth's atmosphere. This isn't a scene from a science fiction novel, but a real scientific hypothesis. What if Earth had rings like Saturn? Let's explore a strange and mesmerizing world you've likely never imagined, where astronomy meets art, and where surreal beauty hides unexpected consequences for humanity. Planetary rings, children of cosmic chaos. Planetary rings are not rare phenomena in our solar system. Saturn is the most iconic example, but Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune also possess rings, albeit much fainter. These rings typically form when a moon or a large asteroid ventures too close to its parent planet and is torn apart by intense gravitational forces, exceeding the so-called Roche limit, the point at which a planet's gravity overpowers the structural integrity of the celestial body. The remaining debris neither falls into the planet nor gathers enough force to form a new moon, so it continues orbiting the planet, eventually forming a stable ring system that can last millions of years. If a small moon or celestial body had violently collided with Earth in the recent past, such a ring might have formed, but as of now, Earth has never had one. However, in the realm of hypothetical science, anything is possible. Where would Earth's rings be, and what would they look like? If Earth had rings, the system couldn't just float anywhere in space. It would have to follow strict physical laws. Specifically, the rings would lie within the Roche limit, meaning they'd be located roughly 15,000 to 20,000 kilometers above Earth's surface, much closer than the Moon's orbit, 384,000 kilometers. The rings would orbit Earth along the equatorial plane, similar to Saturn's rings. In terms of structure, the ring system could consist of several to dozens of bands, each thousands of kilometers wide, but only tens to hundreds of meters thick. They would be made up of water ice particles, cosmic dust, and tiny fragments of asteroids, all of which reflect sunlight intensely. From a distance, the rings would appear as a luminous, silvery white halo that could shift shape depending on the viewer's angle, from a straight band to a giant arc across the sky. What would the sky look like if Earth had rings? The familiar celestial landscape, our moon, constellations, or even the auroras, would be completely overshadowed by the presence of planetary rings. In regions near the equator, where the rings would be viewed edge-on, they would appear as a glowing band across the sky, stretching from east to west, never disappearing. At higher latitudes, the rings would rise like a silver arc high above, resembling a crown of eternal light. During the day, sunlight would make the rings appear fainter, but they could still be visible from high-altitude regions with clean, clear air. At night, the rings would shine brilliantly, bright enough to outshine the Milky Way, obscure dim stars, and cast a soft, silvery glow. Night would no longer be truly dark, a change that could have profound consequences. How would the rings affect light, weather, and climate? Not just an astronomical wonder, Earth's rings would have a direct physical impact on the planet's climate. Since the particles in the rings reflect some of the sun's light, they could reduce the amount of solar radiation reaching Earth's surface, especially in areas directly beneath the shadow of the rings, referred to as the umbra zone. These areas might experience cooler days, less sunlight, and even create a phenomenon called double sunsets, where some of the light comes from the reflection off the rings instead of directly from the sun. If this effect persisted through seasonal cycles, it could make winters more severe, summers less hot, and disrupt Earth's already balanced weather system. This effect could alter atmospheric flow, ocean currents, and the water cycle, and, on a larger scale, impact the distribution of ecosystems and global biodiversity. What would happen to ecosystems and life under the rings? Life on Earth has evolved to adapt to a stable day-night cycle, with consistent levels of light and temperature. If the rings altered sunlight, especially in areas constantly under their shadow, plants could experience reduced photosynthesis, slower growth, or poor nutrition, leading to imbalances in the food chain. Animal life would also be affected. Many species rely on moonlight or starlight for navigation, such as sea turtles, migratory birds, and whales, and could experience disorientation in movement and reproduction. Equatorial ecosystems might become the new cold zones, while polar regions could warm due to shifts in air currents. Ultimately, this could lead to the extinction of many species, but might also drive evolution in unexpected new directions. How would the history of human civilization be written if there were rings? Imagine, since prehistoric times, humans have looked up at the sky and seen a magnificent band of light constantly present. Surely, it would not just be an astronomical phenomenon, it would become a sacred symbol in religion, culture, art, and philosophy. Perhaps the Egyptians would have depicted the rings on their pyramids, the Greeks would have seen it as a wreath of the gods, and the Maya would have considered it the bridge between the world of the living and the dead. The course of civilization would have evolved differently. The lunar solar calendar might have been replaced by a calendar based on the cycle of the ring's shadow, and myths, poetry, music, and art would all be influenced by this phenomenon. Even in the modern era, the rings could become a national symbol, an image on currency, or an inspiration for new religions. How would technology, satellites, and space exploration be affected? Keep in mind that in reality, there are thousands of active satellites orbiting Earth, ranging from telecommunications, GPS, and weather forecasting satellites to military systems. A natural ring, made up of billions of fragments of rock, ice, and dust orbiting Earth at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour, would become a space death zone that all technological equipment must avoid. Satellites would need to be launched into inclined orbits or equipped with protective armor to prevent collisions, which could increase costs by many times. Space exploration would also be significantly hindered, as flying through the rings would be like plunging into a continuous meteor storm, highly risky. However, if humanity develops sufficiently advanced technology, the rings could be mined as an extraterrestrial source of minerals, marking the beginning of a new space economy. Could Earth have an artificial ring in the future? The possibility of Earth naturally forming a ring system in the near future is extremely low, unless a rare cosmic catastrophe occurs. However, science has never stopped dreaming. Some scientists have proposed the idea of creating an artificial ring made of solar reflecting mirrors in orbit, with the aim of adjusting Earth's climate and slowing down global climate change. Although the idea remains controversial, it demonstrates that rings are not just a magnificent natural phenomenon, but also a symbol of humanity's creativity and potential to manipulate nature. The hypothesis "what if Earth had rings like Saturn?" opens up a world that is both breathtakingly beautiful and full of far-reaching consequences for our climate, ecosystems, civilization, and even technology. It's a reminder of how fragile yet extraordinary our little blue planet truly is. Rings, whether real or imagined, remind us that every element in the cosmic ecosystem exists for a reason, and even a small change could rewrite the entire story of humanity. So let's stay curious, keep asking questions, and continue exploring not only what is, but also what could be. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest videos.